I think that as humans, we have a natural curiosity and we want to tell our stories and we want to relate to other people. And the best way to do that is through stories. So I don't think AI is going to replace that, but there is going to be a very big temptation to make AI just kind of do the work for us.
Welcome to the Storycraft podcast for storytellers. I'm your host, Meg Adams, and I'm here to help you explore how stories shape our connections. Wondering how stories help you network and advance? Looking to bridge online and face-to-face worlds, foster understanding, and ignite innovation? Look no further. Whether you're a leader, communicator, educator, or just love a good story, join us for actionable insights and real talk with professional storytellers, all aimed at helping you build stronger, better connections. We're here today with Jeneanne Ballos of Digital River Media, and we're going to talk to you today about all the things storytelling. But I want to start out with a little bit of your background so that our audience knows the context that you bring to the conversation.
Sure. Currently, I'm the Chief Operating Officer at Digital River Media. Previously, I've worked in technology as a project manager, technology lead, a product manager, a technology manager. So I don't have a technology background really, but I've been managing technology for a long time, and I found that my superpower is being able to talk to the technical people and then translate it to plain speak so that other people besides the technical people can understand it and start using the technology.
That is a superpower. So does storytelling come into play in that communication?
For sure, yes. I've found that relating technology to a story helps people understand how it works or how you can use it. So relating it to, you said explain a technology that was pretty complicated. I related it to riding on a train. Or talking about how something's safe and putting it to something that's more relatable, like an everyday item versus a technology, and then they understand it.
That's awesome. Yeah, so Kyle and I were both journalists. So same thing, you take sometimes these complicated, complex situations or issues and you have to make them relatable. So storytelling was the way that we did it too. So I'm just curious, was this something that you always did naturally in communication, or have you learned it over the years?
I think I've always been a storyteller, more for like getting laughs and like being entertaining, and I just enjoy storytelling. Listening to stories. So growing up, we always hear stories about our family, and then I just kind of carried that forward. And then the technology thing I completely fell into. I did not intend to go into that, but that's just where I ended up. So I was able to parlay the experience of storytelling and being able to relate to things like that and use it for technology.
I love that. So you use it in like your personal and your professional life. It's just there was an overlap there. Do you have any advice for people who are out there and they want to get better at that? They want to get better at that specific thing, like taking these complex issues, or especially with technology, and being able to communicate more efficiently through stories. Like any tips?
Tell a story that you're comfortable with and that and find something from your life that you can relate it to. Honestly, AI is making it easier for people to tell stories, so you can prompt AI to explain something to you in terms of a race or in a different type of context that you're going to understand in your personal life. And if you're comfortable with it, like I play soccer, so if I ask for something to be related in soccer terms, I'm going to remember it and relate it to my own life and be able to explain it better to someone else.
Okay, I love that we're on this topic because this is what I wanted to dig in with you today. So you've been talking about AI, artificial intelligence. So I am not that great with it. So I'm curious. So you just explained one way to use it for storytelling. How else do you think it can help people who are professional communicators, like, teachers, journalists, people like us in marketing and public relations?
Yeah. Well, one thing that we all have in common is we all start with a blank page. And that is often the biggest hurdle to overcome, is just getting started. And you can ask AI for some help. An outline. For example, when I first started presenting on AI, it's such a huge topic. Where do you even begin? So I asked for an outline. What would you present on, and give me an outline? It was way too long and too complicated, but it was a starting point. I broke through that blank page syndrome And then it got me thinking like, oh, okay, well, this is more related to my audience. This is more related, just asking for topics. You maybe want to present on or talk about something specific. Ask for a couple ideas around that specific topic. And it might be something that you don't use, but then it gets you thinking and it gets your brain kind of moving in that direction.
I love that. That's a really great way to use it, I think, just to generate like brainstorming with people. Have you found that, I'm just thinking, so you're going to present to a school later today, which is exciting. So I think as a teacher, sometimes, I worry that, do you think that AI is curdling creativity in some ways? Are we using it, how do we use it responsibly?
I think it depends on how you use it. It's a tool. It's a tool in the toolbox. And you can use it the way it's not supposed to be used, which, I mean, you could do that before anyways. Like, you can copy and paste anything off the internet and say it's your own. I think it's a good partner. I think it's a good supplement. I think that teachers have an opportunity to incorporate it into the classroom. But I also think that it's a really good way to get kids thinking creatively, but also thinking critically. So you can't just blindly accept whatever AI spits out at you. You have to check your sources, like a journalist. You have to, agree that whatever it comes back with, that is a trusted source for you, that's accurate information, because AI is pulling from the internet, and there's a lot of not true stuff on the internet.
Sure. Yeah, and I think that's one of the main concerns I know with AI is that, some of these like biases and these internally human things that we've all put on the internet are going to just, be perpetuated through the AI.
Yes.
So I'm just curious, how do you teach people about that, or how do you approach, what should we know about that?
Yeah, so I talk about it, and I say there's something to be aware of. For example, when I was coming up with the presentation the first time, I said that, I was presenting to people who aren't familiar with AI. And then I said, I'm presenting to business people, and I came up with a outline. And then I said, I'm presenting to business women. What should they be concerned with? And it was two different things.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, well, women and men should both be concerned about the same thing, but it was related off of the stereotypes on the internet. Even images, like image generation, when I asked for an image of teachers, it was all women. Business people, all men. So it's getting better, but it's still, you have to check yourself and like challenge each interaction with AI, and look at it through a critical lens of, is this something that is reflective in society, or is this something that is being perpetuated as a stereotype?
Yeah, absolutely. I remember doing like a similar exercise with Google where I would have students, I would purposely make them Google a bunch of things and then Google something innocuous like car.
Yeah.
And they'd all get different images. And it was just that idea of there is internal bias in technology, and AI is probably no different than the rest.
Yep.
So kudos to you for going out there and teaching people about that, especially with tools like AI. So when you are presenting to business people, what are the things that you feel, or organizational leaders, right, storytellers, what do you feel is most beneficial to them when it comes to AI?
Just to get started, don't be afraid of the technology. It's here whether you want it to be or not. So I might as well start learning now. The quicker you learn, the quicker you start, the more along the journey you can be and the further ahead you'll be than a lot of people. Explore the tools. Not every tool is appropriate for every situation. Not all tools are created equal. Some of them are far better, like Perplexity AI is really good for research because it cites the sources. Right now, like I use Microsoft Bing for my search engine instead of Google because it comes back with an AI explanation and also sources. Whereas Google, you still have to sift through all your articles and that. It's changing all the time, so it feels kind of overwhelming. But I think if you just get started, and then don't be afraid to get started. Because a lot of people think of like traditional software where if you did something wrong, you'd break it.
Yeah.
Like you can mess whatever up.
I'm gonna get a virus.
Right.
We're dating ourselves, Jeneanne.
Right. But you can't break AI. It's just gonna come back and say, I can't answer that, or that's not within my knowledge or within my programming or whatever. So just try different things, and if you try something and it doesn't work, try again in a couple months, because they're constantly updating and AI is constantly learning. So it might work the next time, or your search results might be better. One of the things that I have in my presentation is the definition of AI that from ChatGPT. There's like 3 different versions of it, and it keeps changing because the technology keeps evolving.
In real time. That's just so interesting. What are your favorite tools? You mentioned one, Perplexity, and I'm sure hopefully everybody's aware of ChatGPT.
Yeah.
But are there any other tools that we should be aware of that are useful in for different things?
Yeah. So it depends on what you want to do. Right. Yeah. So start with solving a problem rather than start with the tool. Image generation. I use Bing in creative mode, and you get free images. A lot of people use Runway. At work, we use Descript for our podcast and for editing. That's very useful. I don't know. It's just like a lot of tools out there. There's it's like Wikipedia for AI. It's called Futurepedia. And the last time I checked, there was like over 50,000 AI tools. It's an insane amount of tools out there. And of course, all of them aren't created equal, and some of them are free and some of them aren't. But just getting used to your basics, like a ChatGPT or Perplexity, Claude, all of those are a good place to start. I think starting with like writing or image generation is probably the safest bet.
Yeah, I feel like most people that I know, at least like in my general sphere, associate AI with writing.
Right.
Yeah, with ChatGPT. So it's interesting to me. I think we're all going to figure this out, but I'm wondering if you've noticed this too. I've seen, so people are trying to work, what do they say? Like smarter, not harder.
Right.
But I also see, and I don't know if you've seen this, like AI generated posts or writing. So I'm also a professor. I can spot AI writing in like 30 seconds because I'm like, these are not the words that you use. Like we're not talking to the protagonist. When have we ever used that word?
Yeah.
So I'm curious, what is your advice to people? You talked about using it, especially when it comes to writing, like as a tool. So we're at the point where we can notice, okay, I know that post was AI and it was just copy pasted from AI.
Right.
I wouldn't use it that way because again, you know what it is. What's your advice in terms of keeping it supplemental so that it is actually helping you, but you retain the human element to that communication?
Yeah. So some AIs, you can train them in your voice to create information in your voice. I think that the best way to approach it is to start with your idea or to start with an AI idea, write up what you have, and if you don't quite like it, ask AI to rewrite it for you. And then take portions of what you've written and AI together. So use it as a writing partner, not as a writing replacement.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Do you have any fear as someone who's kind of looked into this and someone who's been a communicator for so long, that we will lose the human element of communication? I know that's a common criticism.
I don't know that we'll use, there's people that say, the chatbots are going to be talking to other people's chatbots, and my AI is going to be talking to your AI, and what are we going to be doing in the middle? I think that as humans, we have a natural curiosity, and we want to tell our stories, and we want to relate to other people, and the best way to do that is through stories. So I don't think AI is going to replace that, but there is going to be a very big temptation to make AI just kind of do the work for us. Yeah. So we have to look at what's valuable work, because we're going to want to do the valuable work and let AI do the non-value added work. We're going to be the ones that tell our personal stories. AI is not going to be able to do that. You can only pull from the internet. You can only pull from other people's experience that is out in the internet or out in books or someplace like that. So there's no replacement for us in the age of technology, but it can help enhance our communication.
No, I really love that answer because I would totally agree with you. I think that the human element of storytelling is what, we're primed to do and how we actually connect. The other element of AI that I think of as a professor is the critical analysis. You mentioned this earlier, and you talked about it sort of like brainstorming for you and writing the outline. And I think of, I'm a writing professor, so like writing is my jam. So when I assign something, for example, it'll be like a reflection. So it's like, I really want to know what you think. I am not looking for grammar. I don't care as long as I can understand what you're thinking. And it makes me sad when students use AI for that, because as you said, I think they're just trying to, and I understand the impetus to just like get through the assignment and get through the day. But I'm also like, but I really want to know what you think. I want to know what you think.
Right.
And I'm wondering if, again, going back to like the start of our conversation on AI, is there a way that it can help us get started thinking, but not replace the thinking for us? What's your advice there?
Yeah, I would ask for like feedback on an outline or just like ideation on topics.
Yeah.
And I would also encourage teachers or professors to say, you can use AI for this assignment, but don't use AI for this assignment. So like allow space for use of it within the classroom and say, this is what I'm interested in. Because people are really motivated by the why or the what.
Sure.
What are you trying to accomplish here? What is it that you're seeking? What is the goal of this exercise? And hopefully they'll be able to respect that
No, that's a really good point. I'm going to actually do write that in the comments back. I'll be like, I think you used AI. I'm not going to like send you off to the police here, but I really, the point of this was I really want to know what you think, so try again.
Right.
But the other piece of this too is business people. So I've also heard of companies having like AI, like they have their own set of rules for using AI within an organization. Yep. Are you familiar with that, and would you suggest that as well?
Yeah, so one of the first suggestions for getting started with AI within an organization is create an AI council. So different representatives from different departments that contribute to and advise on how to use AI, and then write some different rules around it. So like if you're a lawyer, you probably don't want to put client privilege information.
Right.
If you're a hospital or a medical facility, you have to regard the rules of HIPAA. So there's different rules like that you have to worry about. But then you have to think about, if I, as a company, were to give this information to my direct competitor, would this harm me, or is this not a big deal? So there's things that you have to think about, because if you're using AI that's a public-facing version, it can become part of the training, like whatever information you're putting in.
Yeah.
Larger corporations are going to be able to afford to have a closed instance of AI, so they don't have to worry about that so much. But smaller businesses aren't going to have that opportunity. So you just have to think about what you're putting in, if it's something that you're okay training AI on, or if it's something that really needs to stay in-house.
Yeah, that's a really good point, especially when you think about like how data is being collected. Could you talk a little bit about that too for people who are, because you mentioned earlier, like let's play with AI, let's get in there. What are the things that we should be wary of that we might not know on the surface?
So don't put any like super personal information that you wouldn't tell someone else, because it wouldn't necessarily like identify you directly, but I'm a bit cautious with that personally. Think about like how you're inputting things, how you're talking to it. Have rules, but also like document your progress, because again, it's always evolving. So whatever thing you put in this time and it doesn't work, it might work again.
Yeah.
If you're with an organization, like share the information and be open about it. Like, I don't think that there's a reason to hide using AI.
That's a good point too.
It's a tool. It's not something that, if you're trying to pass off AI work as your own, then that's one thing. But if you're open about using it and saying, this was partly generated by AI and partly generated by me, or disclosing like where you got the information from, then it's a lot more of an open environment and you're being much more honest.
I'm coming around, Jeneanne. I'm coming around. I like that idea because as a creative, I'm like such a purist, and I do think sometimes I work harder, not smarter, because of that.
Yes.
And so, what do you think for creatives out there who are maybe like me that are like, but I need to hold on to this part because this is my thing and it's this pure process? What would you say to them about? Kind of, as you said, partnering. I've heard that theme, being collaborative in collaboration with AI.
Yeah. I mean, if you really, really enjoy doing a certain part of something, don't use AI. But are you standing there staring at a blank screen or a blank page for hours, or is that like the most difficult part of your process? Then collaborate with AI and ask for ideas. Or, it's a Monday, what should I write about? Who knows what you're going to get back, but it might not be anything that you agree with on that page, but then it gets you thinking about something else.
Yeah.
So just starting the process is good. I feel like creators grab inspiration from everywhere already. So, when you're creating videos or pictures or whatever it is you're doing, you're looking around you for inspiration. So this is just another source of inspiration to me. But again, like as long as you're not trying to ask AI to do the whole thing for you and passing it off as your own, because it's basically plagiarism.
That is. No, but I love that idea too. I think that's a really good way to think about it. One of my friends said, and I love this metaphor, he said, AI is to writing as the calculator was to math.
Yeah.
Like it's a tool to help you do things, but you still have to like keep in mind, like you said, the human element of the tool. Yeah. So, what are your favorite ways to use AI? How do you use it, Jeneanne?
Well, I want to bring up one more point.
Sure.
And I feel like creators already feel like their work isn't as valued as much, or
that is a really good point.
It's difficult to prove the value in it because a lot of organizations are like, oh, I could do that thing. Like, oh, that video can't cost that much money, or that podcast can't be that difficult to make. And we already feel like we're criticized for bringing something out in the world, partly for that reason and partly because it's a part of us. So when these AI tools come in and say like, oh, you can create all these things, you kind of feel like you're on an attack. So it's hard not to feel defensive about using AI as part of the creative process. Like it's a replacement, but it's just a little bit of a help instead.
That's a good thing to dig into, because I think that is very true, and that might be why there's so many people that are like, this is my creative process. Yeah. That's another worry about AI, which is that it will replace creative work.
Yes.
Yeah. Have you, what is your response, or have you?
I totally agree with that, because, when there's hard economic times, what's the first department to go? Marketing.
Yeah. Which is like, I'm sorry.
It's crazy.
Don't do that, because that's how your business comes in.
I know.
Don't do that.
I know. Everyone in marketing understands that that's the wrong move.
But you're right. It's so true.
Yeah, and when AI was first burst onto the scene, there was a memo going around saying, oh, you can save 80 hours a week and everybody's going to be replaced by AI. Yeah. Well, I mean, some jobs will be, but some jobs were also replaced when there was a printing press and, steam engines and things like that. So it's an evolution. You can't hang on to what is there when it's going to be changing. So I hope that people adapt with that. But I don't think it's not a full replacement for creativity and bringing something new or rehashing or reimagining something and seeing it in a different light. We have the unique human lens right now.
Do you think AI will get good enough? I've heard that, some of these tools are taking the image and they are, I mean, as you mentioned, they're just getting better and better and better.
I think that the scariest part of all of this is that we as a society have to determine what we value and what is work that is worth humans doing versus machines. And there's no blueprint or playbook for this.
Right.
We're in totally uncharted territory, and there's, we can't rely on the government for laws on this because they're behind. So, we're really reliant on these people in Silicon Valley, creating these things and then giving us all these super powerful tools, and how is everyone using it? It's
That's
scary.
it. You said it. I mean, that's the you said it exactly. The lack of regulation, the lack of really, it's sort of like, I see it as you mentioned, like these people, instead they're playing with something that we don't know.
Yeah. They don't even know.
No, they don't know.
Yeah.
Right. We just, it is,
Yeah.
So with that being said, what do you think the person listening to this podcast or thank you for the work you're doing in educating all of us about this, what can we do in our own spheres to, like you said, be a part of, if somebody's listening to this and they're like, man, like, I really care and I want to contact Jeneanne, or I want to learn, I want to do more than play, I want to be a part of the solution to AI. Like, what would you advise them to do?
Just get started using it. And if you are using it, talk about it.
Yeah.
So, talk about it with your friends. It may seem like a weird topic, but we all have to start communicating about how we're using it and that it's part of our life now. AI is incorporated into a lot of things that we're already using.
Yeah.
And if you don't realize it, you don't think about it, and then you think, oh, I'm afraid to use AI. Well, if you're texting on an iPhone, you're using AI. If you have like a home security system, if you have a home, like Siri or Alexa, that's all AI. It's just not called that.
Right.
So the more we talk about it, the better off we are. Educate yourselves. The Marketing AI Institute in Cleveland is fantastic. They really they have a weekly podcast and they bring everything like down to a level where you can all understand it. That's been a wonderful resource. Just find people that you can trust, that you can talk with it, and just kind of experiment and talk about your experimentation or experiments and like how you're using it. And then talk to your kids about it, especially kids on social media. So we're used to seeing social media as a reflection of what we're able to do in real life. So the videos, or, you're like, oh, it's edited or whatever, but in general, it's like a home movie, basically. Well, the images and the videos that are coming out now from AI are so realistic looking. And especially when you're viewing it on like a small device like a phone, you can't tell the difference. And kids are going to go on social media and be like, oh, that person jumped off a 3-story balcony into a pool and they're fine, so I can do it too. Well, that's an AI generated image. If something is defying the laws of physics and gravity, it's probably an AI generated image. They're so realistic, and kids' brains are immature, so they're not going to apply the critical thinking skills to that. They want to follow whatever TikTok challenge or whatever it is. So there's a lot of different ways that it can be dangerous. And if by not talking about it, it's even more dangerous. So we just have to have an open conversation. And it's like we talk about stranger danger on the internet. Like, let's talk about AI images and AI generated things, and make it a game. Say like, spot the AI image. Because we just not too long ago, like a year ago, we were joking around like, oh, AI, all the hands have 6 fingers. Well, there's no 6-finger hands anymore. It's not as obvious. And like Sora, I don't know if you saw that. Like, that's hyper realistic images and videos. Like, it's all coming, if not already there, and we just really have to have open conversations about it, and just call it out when we see it. And it's not bad, like someone may be creating a picture of something, but claim it's AI. Say like, this is AI generated, this is not a real image.
I think you make a really great point. The one is the fact that it's unregulated, so we don't have rules, essentially. Right. And so it's sort of left to the organization and the individual, the student, right, whoever, to take that responsibility and say, this is AI generated, or this is partially AI generated. And I do think the people who are listening to this podcast, so people who are educators, people who are in marketing, in the creative professions, I think it's almost it's an important impetus, not just for us to be aware, but also to be part of the conversations about how are we going to do this? And because like you said, it's like a double-edged sword, I think. There's so many good uses of it, but there's also the potential for real danger to society. I think about the deep fake videos that we see, and journalists can't. There's no way to fact check hardly anymore, especially with the speed of the news cycle.
Right. Well, a really good example of that one, as I kind of look at it, is like the OG was the Pope in the puffy coat. And, that was all the AP and all that picked that up, like, oh my gosh, the Pope's in a puffy coat. And it was just some guy that thought, like, oh, I think it would be funny to generate a picture of the Pope in a puffy coat. He didn't do it maliciously.
No.
But then everybody picked it up, and like the Vatican had to issue a statement that no, this wasn't the Pope. Like, first of all, like, who cares he's in a puffy coat anyways?
Right.
But that was then, and that was just a year or so ago. And now it's just crazy the things that can come out. And I think if we encourage the discussion and we encourage the disclosure, or as companies, if we don't punish people or make them feel like they're going to be punished for using AI, we disclose it. I think in organizations, especially large organizations, I think what people are afraid of is if, I'm working 40 hours a week now because AI is able to do part of my job. One, am I still going to have a job? Or two, am I just going to get more work?
Yeah.
There's been a real issue with organizations forcing people to do more with less because of economic difficulties or whatever. And so now they're finding a way to kind of right size their life and using AI to help course correct their work and let AI do the more manual things and free them up for other things like thinking and strategizing and the hard stuff. But companies are going to look at it like, oh, you have an extra 10 hours back in your week. Here's more work.
Right.
Or, oh, well, 10 hours from each person is of one FTE, so I'm going to let this person go and everyone else absorbs their job.
Yeah.
And that's a valid fear. Like, what do we value? What do organizations value as far as somebody's contribution? If they're doing manual work that an AI can do, does that make them more valuable or less valuable? An AI can't replace their experience or their insight as a person.
Yeah.
So what do you value as a company?
Yeah, that is such a great thought because you're absolutely right. You have experience. That's your stories, that's your experience, that's your value.
Right.
And you cannot, that gives me some hope.
Yeah.
And that's true. It is, I think these conversations, I think as we wrap up, I think thinking about, where do you land on this? I think from my brief observations, there are people who are just like, I don't want to deal with it. Like, I'm not gonna, or there are people who are there are people who are replacing, okay, I'm just going to use this to replace my work and get things done. And then there are people like you who are like, well, let's have these conversations about how it's here.
Yeah. How
can we best use it? So any final thoughts for us on where we've landed in this conversation?
I think our personal stories and us as people are the things that are the most valuable within whatever our role is, whether it's as an educator or business person or marketer or whatever. It's our unique human perspective that sets us apart. And I think everyone has to decide for themselves, specifically organizations, what is a value to me? What do I need? Do I want more quality? Do I just want more quantity? That's a big question that everyone has to answer. And AI is here to say, whether we like it or not. I mean, it's just like the .com bubble or the internet when it first came. Obviously, it's not going away. So I think the better off we'll be, the more educated we are, the better off we'll be. And just keeping up with it feels overwhelming. So just try to focus on an area that's smaller that you can manage, and then as you learn more, it won't feel so bad. But it's changing all the time, and it's a lot, and everybody's life is busy.
Yeah.
So just carve out a little bit of time to try to stay current and to find one use case or one problem that in your life that you can solve with AI and just keep at it.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Thank you for this conversation today. Yeah. We do have a quick round at the end of random questions.
Sure.
So I'll give this to you if you're ready, Jeneanne.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, what's your favorite story? So this could be movie, book, poem, song, whatever format. Do you have a favorite?
I think movies are my favorite.
Yeah.
I'm more of a visual person. And plus you have like multiple elements that are in a movie. So you don't just have the visual, but then you have the sounds and the lighting and editing that all goes into it. And I have a bigger appreciation for movies now working with Digital River. And what's being held back and what's being put forth.
Oh, yeah. The crafting of the...
Like two of my favorite are The Fifth Element and The Mummy. I know they're old.
Yeah.
But just, I love watching them over and over and over
Yeah.
again. It's just like the right mix of elements and everything. So,
That's
movies.
awesome. I love that. We'll have to recheck those out, Jeneanne.
Oh, especially The Fifth Element. It's set in the future, but it's like a dirty future. It's not the pristine, robot-driven future. And when I watched it not too long ago, the editing on it, I was like, this is brilliant. That was just absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for that suggestion.
Yeah.
And then the next question is, this is an either or an and, but what's the best piece of storytelling advice you've ever heard that you just have to let us know, or, and, the worst piece of storytelling advice you want to warn us all about?
I'm constantly learning about storytelling from my sister-in-law, Annie Merman. She's a really good storyteller. She's a really good writer. She's a very good editor. So I come from the background more of business writing, where she's more everything else. So I've been learning a lot from her, and it's just on a daily basis. So there's not one piece of advice that I would pin to her, but I would say just in general, having patience and being able to explain something, that's been very helpful.
I love that. I think a lot of people, I think that deals with something that I hear from people too, that people think they're natural born storytellers instead of understanding that it is a craft.
Yeah.
So you can practice and learn and get better at it. So,
yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And then the final question is, how would you define storytelling in your own words?
Storytelling is taking someone on a journey with you, helping them see and understand what the protagonist went through, whether it's you or someone else, and then getting them to understand a new perspective and gain a new appreciation for something in their lives.
I love that. Thank you so much, Jeneanne.
Yeah,
that was
absolutely.
Lovely.
Thank you.
We're so glad you've listened to this podcast episode. If you liked it, would you mind doing us a favor? Share this episode with someone who would be interested in the topic too. We're on a mission to help everyone become a better storyteller. And don't forget to subscribe to the show to get updated every time we release a new episode. Each and every episode is produced, hosted, and edited by us, Meg and Kyle Adams at Home Place Creative. Happy storytelling.